Alexandre Carlucci, you are the CEO of Natura.
Yes.
Natura is today a $3.3 billion company, if we talk in terms of turnover. And you have a profit line of something like $650 million. It's a big company, but it's a very different company. Your sales model is a direct sales model. You employ 1.2 million housewives across Brazil and other countries. Can you tell me how this evolved? How did this sort of very different model evolve with Natura?
Well, if we start from the beginning, when Natura was founded in '69, the founder of the company started in a store, so without direct selling, but with the possibility to have a closer relationship with the customer.
Right.
So he was waiting in the small, very small store. Someone arrived and he could talk, understand the needs of the customer, but not only the needs of the skin, but also who was the customer, his life, her life, usually women, so her life. So there was a relationship. There was a possibility to really know the other and give it back in some way, in our case, with products.
Yes.
And then when the company started to grow at that time, the new also shareholders that joined the company, they realized that they need to offer the same possibility.
Same kind of connection with the customer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So the customer was very important.
Your business model and its beautiful evolution, which you described, kind of an organic evolution, it must fail at some places, because surely there are countries where you just don't have the access to housewives who are willing to take out the message and the stories and the ideas behind Natura to their friends and their neighbors and their families and so on. Aren't you missing potentially big markets in Japan, USA, Europe, as a result of not following the traditional model?
Yes, the answer is yes. And
aren't you concerned about that? I mean, you are the CEO of a company.
Yes, more than concerned. I am enthusiastic to think in different ways to be in those places and to offer the values and the view of the company, the concepts as you mentioned. And today we are open to use other kind of channel. The channel must be a good channel to offer this connection with the customer. In other words,
so
it must be must have a possibility to have a conversation. So the internet is a very good one, we believe. There are some models in the franchise, in the what we call mono-brand retail, where you have an environment where the customer can ask, can talk about their needs, and then we can offer something. And there are some channels where this is not possible, like the supermarkets. But maybe in this new world of digital technology, we could find different ways.
A kind of internet relationship of sorts.
Yes,
which
I like to use one hypothesis. It's only a crazy idea that we could have a hybrid model in one part like Amazon, and on the other part like Facebook.
Okay.
So where you have people, but you have commercial things. Because in the Amazon you buy, but you buy from an organization. You're not buying from a person. So there is no one there. As a customer perspective, there is a company.
Sure.
In Facebook, there are a lot of people.
It's people only.
But they are not.
They're not doing business.
Yes, they are not doing business. So this could be a new
fascinating.
way.
I mean, this could be a fascinating way of bringing the housewife and the relationship between the customer and Natura, understanding its stories, understanding what is it that makes its belief system.
And maybe not only housewife. You can bring young people, you can bring older people, you can bring all different kinds of people, because you are using a very contemporary technology. But anyway, this is an idea.
Great.
Only an idea.
I look forward to watching it happen.
Okay.
But in addition to seeing the excitement for the future, I think already Natura has achieved quite an amazing, what we call positive externality. 1.2 million housewives have added to the stature that they have in society. They've added to the incomes of the family. Admittedly, there may be small incomes, but it's not small. If you look at the sheer size of the company, we are still talking about $800–900 million worth of income, which is not small. And I'm just wondering, calculating the externalities, both the negative externalities, cost to society like emissions and water usage and biodiversity costs, and calculating the positive externalities, such as what you have done for society through employing 1.2 million housewives. These are some of the things that I'm hoping new corporations, the Corporation 2020 will do. Is it something that Natura wants to do as well?
No, definitely. We want to do. In a very humble way, I would like to say that I think that we already started to do some of those things. Not integrated, maybe not so well organized, but we started to measure a lot of the externalities. More the negative ones, to be honest, than the positive ones, because we believe that we could improve focusing the negative. Maybe we're wrong, because we could increase the positives. Yes. But we started to do.
In our thinking around Corporation 2020, the future corporation, we think of community as something that the corporation encourages and indeed provides. Community in terms of bonding, in terms of relationships, in terms of people who work together and feel together certain shared values, and something that adds to their sense of belonging in society. I mean, you've been, since '89 you've been with Natura, so you're a long timer at Natura and now it's CEO. Would you describe Natura as a community?
Yes, I would describe as a community, even though I believe that we are still far from the 2020 corporations. And why I am describing Natura as a community? Because we have 1.2 million people already building a community.
Right.
And I'm sure to say that they belong to Natura, not only because they can have profits, but because they like the company, they like the way that the company thinks, the way that the company establish relationship with not only them but also society. So in some way we are already a community. On the other hand, I think that we need to face a huge transformation for the future, because we've been growing in an holistic aspect, not only revenues and profit, but growing as a whole. And when you grow, it's easy to use the old ways
of behavior,
behave, and also hierarchical structure. Few people deciding. A lot of walls,
departments.
Silos, this is mine, not yours. So this is totally against
internal
competition. Internal competition. So I think that we have a huge challenge to become really a corporation for the future.
But what about the other factor of education and training? Because something else that I find some of the best corporations doing is really focusing a lot on creating value for their employees in terms of training.
The challenge is to not only focus on your employees, but understanding all the stakeholders of the company. So in other words, how are you training your supplier and also learning from them?
Right.
How are you training your sales force, in our case the consultants, and how are we learning from them? And the customer, and the same. So in other words, is how can we really manage the company, understanding that the company is more than this office or our buildings. And I think that this amplifies a lot the value of a corporation. But you must behave like this, not only calculate, because this is to calculate. You must behave and really put in your decisions all the stakeholders and their needs, their concerns, and this is easy to say and difficult to be done.
But coming to the issue of the vision, do you see this as something central to the corporation of the future, that the corporation has to have goals which are aligned with the goals of society?
I think that is part totally of our vision, but more than this, I think that in the long term, I don't know how long, but I'm sure to say that in somewhere in time, companies that don't have goals aligned with society, they're going to disappear. There is no separation between what is a company, what is the society, what is the government, even though there are different roles. those barriers are going to
Are
disappear.
going.
So I think the companies that are not going to see this, they are going to disappear also. I see corporations, first of all, really putting all the stakeholders in the same place, with the same power of decision, and thinking about the value for everybody, including shareholders, including customers, including neighborhoods, but much more than this.
Sure.
Second thing, I think I see a corporation empowering people, allowing people to transform themselves, their lives. Where the status, the position, the name of your function is not so relevant as is today.
Right.
So in other words, really extracting the best of each one. Extracting is not a good word, but offering an environment to the best of you, the best of me, to be in place. Because everybody, every human being has good things.
Yes.
So how can we offer a place where those things can appear?
Alessandro Carlucci, thank you very much for your thoughts, your views, and for the outstanding work that you and your company are doing to transform humanity and business into the future.